Kyle Varin had never imagined that a routine mission could change his life forever. He was a young engineer, known more for his curiosity than bravery. And today, he had been assigned to explore an old, abandoned space station at the edge of the Orion expanse. The station had been deserted for decades after a mysterious fire had swept through its central hub. Official records described it as dangerous, unstable, and off-limits. But Kale had a reputation for solving problems where others failed. The station loomed ahead like a sleeping giant, its hull battered and scarred by years of neglect. Through the viewport of his small shuttle, Kale could see twisted metal and fractured walkways, all floating silently in the black void of space. He felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This was exactly the kind of challenge he had always wanted, an abandoned station filled with secrets. Docking was smoother than he expected. The station's outer gates, once considered impenetrable, had corroded and weakened over the years. With a few careful adjustments, Kale slid his shuttle through the narrow entrance and anchored himself near the main docking bay. He powered down the engines and activated the station's internal lights. Inside, the station was silent. The lights flickered, casting long shadows over rusted machinery and empty corridors. Dust floated in the air, like tiny stars in the dim glow. Kyle moved cautiously, scanning the walls for old security panels and maintenance terminals. He was here for a single purpose: retrieve the station's last operational data core and deliver it to the Galactic Archive. Simple enough, he thought. As he explored the lower decks, Kale stumbled across a secure section he hadn't expected. A massive containment cell occupied the center of a circular chamber. Its walls were thick, reinforced with a dark alloy that shimmered faintly in the dim light. A digital panel blinked red beside the cell. Kale felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen containment cells before used for dangerous prisoners or alien specimens, but this one felt different. Curiosity, stronger than caution, drew him closer. He examined the panel. The interface was old, but functional. It required multiple security overrides. But Kale's experience made the task straightforward. He tapped a sequence of codes he had learned from old engineering manuals, thinking only about the challenge. Then, without warning, the containment field hummed, dimmed, and finally dissolved with a quiet hiss. Kale froze. He had not expected it to actually work. The woman stepped out. Kale blinked in disbelief. She moved with grace, almost gliding rather than walking. Her hair was dark and long, cascading around her shoulders like a shadow in motion. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, locked onto Kale immediately. A faint smile playing at her lips, as if she already knew everything about him. Kale stammered. I didn't mean to. The woman raised a hand, silencing him without a word. Then, with a voice both calm and commanding, she asked the question that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Which enemy of yours falls first? The words echoed through the chamber. Kale swallowed hard. He had no enemies here. Not really. He was just a human engineer in a galaxy filled with legends and monsters. But something about the way she said it made his heart pound. This woman, he realized, was not just dangerous, she was feared across entire star systems. She had a reputation that even the most experienced soldiers whispered about in private. I don't have any enemies, Kale said finally, his voice shaky. The woman's eyes narrowed slightly. Everyone has enemies, even those who hide behind machines and data. Kale's mind raced. He had accidentally freed someone who could easily destroy him. His shuttle, and the station. Panic rose in his chest. He needed a plan, but his options were limited. The woman stepped closer, her movements deliberate, almost mesmerizing. I am Lysera, she said, and you are the one who let me out. Kale's stomach dropped. He had heard the name Lysara before, whispered in stories of galactic outlaws and wars fought in shadows. She was said to be brilliant, ruthless, and unstoppable. People who crossed her rarely lived to speak of it. And now, she was standing in front of him, alive because of his mistake. I didn't know, Kale managed to say. I was just trying to get the data core. Lysara's lips curved into a small smile. Ignorance does not excuse action, but it makes for interesting circumstances. Kale stepped back, instinctively raising his hands. Please. I don't want trouble. I can help you. You. Lysara tilted her head. You, a human engineer, think you can help me? Her tone was mocking, but not cruel. There was an almost playful edge to it, like she enjoyed the absurdity of the situation. Kyle swallowed, trying to steady his shaking hands. I know the station. I know the systems. I can help you get out safely. For a moment, Lysara simply stared at him. Then, slowly, she nodded. Perhaps you are useful. After all, Kyle blinked. Useful? Against someone like Lysara? He felt a spark of hope, quickly smothered by fear. He had no idea what he had just unleashed, or what she planned to do next. The silence between them was broken by the distant rumble of the station's failing systems. Sparks flew from exposed conduits, and the lights flickered violently. Kale realized the station itself was a hazard. Every step he took could be his last if the structural integrity failed. Follow me, Lysara said abruptly. We have little time. Kale hesitated, but the intensity in her gaze left him no choice. He followed her through the maze of corridors, his mind racing. Questions flooded him. Why was she in that cell? Who had imprisoned her? And most importantly, why did she seem controlled? They reached a security hub near the station's center. Lysara examined the terminals with an expert's touch. But its systems are old, and its guardians careless. Kale frowned. Guardians? Who would lock you up here? Lysara's eyes darkened. Enemies. Many enemies. Some still hunt me. Some wish to control me. All underestimate humans. Kyle felt a swell of pride despite the danger. Her words hinted at the central truth of the galaxy. Humans, though not as strong or as fast as many alien species, were clever, resilient, and unpredictable. Maybe, just maybe, he could survive this. Suddenly, the station shuddered violently. Kale stumbled, catching himself on a support beam. Lysara's eyes snapped to a distant corridor. They are here, she said simply. Kale's heart leapt. Who? How had they found them so quickly? He barely had time to think before the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the metal halls. The doors to the corridor slid open, revealing a group of heavily armed figures. Their armor gleamed, reflecting the flickering lights. Lysara's expression was calm, almost amused. She turned to Kale. Stay close. Watch and learn. Before Kale could respond, she moved. Fast. Too fast. With precision and skill, she disabled the intruders one by one. Kale could only watch, wide-eyed, as she demonstrated a combination of strength, speed, and strategy that no human could match. And yet, he noticed something else. In the midst of her combat, she seemed to trust him, relying on his knowledge of the station's layout to guide her. Kale realized then what he had done. He hadn't just freed a dangerous woman. He had unlocked a story that would change the galaxy. And he, a single human, was now a part of it. When the intruders were gone, Lysara turned to him once more, her eyes sharp and calculating. You see, human, she said softly. Power is not only in strength or weapons. It is in wit, in timing, in knowing the right move at the right moment. You have potential. But do not mistake potential for safety. KL nodded, too stunned to speak. His life had shifted in an instant. The galaxy was no longer a distant backdrop to his engineering work. It was alive, dangerous, and full of possibilities. And at the center of it all was Lysara, the woman he had accidentally freed, whose question still echoed in his mind. Which enemy of yours falls first? For Kael, there would be no turning back. Kael Varine's heart was still pounding when he followed Lysara through the dim corridors of the old station. Every step he took reminded him that he had just freed the galaxy's most dangerous woman. His mind raced, filled with questions he dared not speak aloud. Why had she been imprisoned here? Who had tried to stop her? And, most importantly, what did she plan to do now? Lysara did not answer his questions. She moved with calm efficiency, scanning the station's systems as if the entire facility were a simple puzzle to be solved. Her presence was magnetic. Kael found himself both terrified and fascinated. She had power, skill, and intelligence in a way he had never encountered. Yet she trusted him to follow her instructions without hesitation. They reached a shuttle bay at the far end of the station. Kael's eyes widened when he saw the sleek ship docked there. Unlike the station's rusted, decaying hull, this ship looked alive. Its surface shimmered under the weak station lights, and its engines emitted a soft hum, ready to spring to life at a moment's notice. "This ship is mine," Lysara said, noticing Kael staring. "It has served me well. If we are to leave this station alive, you will need to understand one rule. Follow my lead. No improvisation." Kael swallowed nervously. "Understood," he said, though his mind already began calculating escape options. The moment they entered the ship, alarms began to blare. Kael looked around in panic. Lysara's eyes narrowed. "They are coming for me," she said. "Always. Always someone wants me captured or dead. And now, you are part of that equation." Kael's stomach sank. He had thought freeing her was the end of danger, but it was only the beginning. He glanced at the controls, feeling out of place among the advanced technology. Yet something surprising happened. Lysara handed him a panel, instructing him to bypass the station's remaining security systems. "Your human skill can be useful," she said simply. "Show me." Kael nodded, his hands trembling slightly. His fingers moved quickly, guided by knowledge and intuition. The station's network was outdated, confusing, but not beyond him. He navigated through layers of security protocols, creating a safe path for Lysara's ship to escape. In that moment, Kael realized something profound. Humans may lack raw power, but their adaptability and problem-solving could match even the most advanced systems of the galaxy. Minutes later, the station shook violently. Lysara pushed him toward the ship's control panel. "Now!" she shouted. Kael activated the shuttle's engines, feeling a thrill of exhilaration as the ship lifted off. Outside, the station's outer hull glowed with sparks as incoming attackers attempted to intercept them. Lysara leaned back in her pilot seat, her eyes scanning the situation with unshakable calm. "You humans think in ways machines cannot," she said quietly. "You find paths where none seem to exist. That is why I keep you alive. For now." Kael's heart raced. Alive was a word he did not take lightly. The attackers fired, energy blasts slicing through the void near their shuttle. But Lysara's piloting skills were unmatched. The ship twisted and darted through space, avoiding destruction with precision. Kael could only watch in awe as she maneuvered through impossible angles, turning near-certain death into a display of skill and strategy. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, they broke free from the attackers' reach. Kael's knees gave way, and he sank into his seat. He felt both terrified and alive in a way he had never experienced. Lysara studied him with an unreadable expression. "You see," she said, "fear can sharpen the mind, but panic will kill you. Remember this lesson, human. You are stronger than you think if you control it. Kale nodded, catching his breath. I never imagined something like this. You are incredible. Lysara's lips curved slightly. Incredible is not enough. Strategy, timing, and understanding your opponent, these are what truly matter. You will learn if you survive. The silence in the ship that followed was heavy but not uncomfortable. Kale's mind buzzed with questions, but he held them back. He was beginning to understand that Lysara was not only dangerous, she was deliberate, measured, and always thinking several steps ahead. Hours passed as they traveled through uncharted space. Kale tried to keep up, studying the navigation systems and monitoring energy readings. Lysara occasionally glanced at him, noting his curiosity and diligence. You have potential, she said. Most humans would panic or freeze in my presence. You adapt. Kale's cheeks flushed. He had never considered himself brave. Yet her words sparked something within him, a confidence he hadn't felt before. For the first time, he realized that humans could make a difference, even in a galaxy filled with beings far stronger than themselves. Their destination was a neutral station near the heart of the Orion expanse. Lysara needed supplies, information, and safe passage. Kale's job was simple. Keep systems functional and assist in operations. Yet the journey was far from simple. Halfway there, Lysara brought up a holographic map of the galaxy. These factions, she explained, see me as a threat. They fear me, and they should. But I do not attack without purpose. I act to balance the scales when corruption grows too strong. Kale listened intently, realizing that she was not a mindless criminal as rumors suggested. She had a code, a principle that guided her actions even when those actions scared the galaxy. As they approached the neutral station, Lysara's calm demeanor shifted. We are not alone, she said. They follow us. A group from the Taylor Syndicate will try to intercept. You must stay alert. Kale's pulse quickened. He had read about the Taylor Syndicate. They were ruthless, using advanced technology and numbers to overwhelm even experienced fighters. Yet, Lysara's plan was precise. When the station came into view, a squad of Syndicate ships appeared, attempting to block their approach. Kale watched in awe as Lysara calculated trajectories, firing defensive pulses, and using the station's gravity field to maneuver through the blockade. Her calm precision contrasted sharply with Kale's fear and excitement. Watch carefully, human, she said. Observe and learn. Strength alone is never enough. Strategy turns weakness into advantage. With Lysara's guidance, Kale operated a secondary control panel, coordinating energy diversions and shielding systems. He realized that humans could complement power with ingenuity. Every adjustment he made had an effect on the larger battle. For the first time, he felt like an essential part of something greater than himself. By the time they docked safely at the station, Kale's hands were shaking from adrenaline. Lysara deactivated the ship's defense systems and turned to him. You see, human, you are valuable. Even in a galaxy of legends, humans can influence outcomes. Intelligence, courage, and quick thinking, these are your weapons. Kale exhaled, trying to calm his racing heart. I think I understand now. Humans may be small, but we can make a difference. Lysara's eyes softened slightly, a rare gesture of acknowledgement. Indeed. And perhaps that is why you survived today. Not by chance, but by potential. There are many challenges ahead, KL. You will need every skill you possess. And you will need to trust me, as I will, in a way, trust you. For the first time since freeing her, KL felt a sense of purpose. He had thought he was just an engineer, someone who fixed machines and retrieved data. Now, he realized that humans could shape events, even when surrounded by power far beyond their own. As they moved through the bustling station, gathering supplies and information, Kale noticed that people watched Lasara with a mixture of fear and respect. The woman he had accidentally freed commanded attention effortlessly. Yet, she did not intimidate him, she inspired him. He wanted to rise to the challenge she had set before him. The day ended with Lasara and Kale in a quiet observation lounge aboard the station. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the reinforced glass. Kale stared at them, feeling the vastness of the galaxy pressing in. And yet, a spark of determination grew within him. "You are more than I expected," Lasara said softly. "Do not disappoint me, human. The galaxy will test you, and you must be ready." Kale nodded. "I won't. Lasara's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. "Good. Then let us begin. There are enemies to confront, alliances to navigate, and a galaxy that underestimates the power of humans. You will learn, and perhaps, together, we can change the course of events." Kale realized that his life had shifted irrevocably. He had thought he was an ordinary human, but in Lasara's presence, he was more. He was clever, adaptable, and capable. The galaxy was dangerous, but humans, he now understood, could rise to meet that danger in ways others could not anticipate. For KL, the journey was only beginning. And with Lasara by his side, he felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and hope. Humans were not powerless. Humans could survive. Humans could make the galaxy listen. Kael Varan had survived the station, the chase, and the syndicate blockade. Yet nothing could have prepared him for what came next. Lasara had warned him that the galaxy was full of enemies, but he had not realized just how vast, organized, and relentless those enemies could be. They had docked at a sprawling hub known as Virex Station, a city in orbit around a gas giant. Ships of every shape and size crowded the docks, carrying merchants, travelers, and smugglers. The station itself was a tangle of metal walkways, observation towers, and neon signs blinking advertisements in multiple languages. Kale marveled at the sheer scale of the place. He had never seen so many people from so many species in one location. Lasara, however, moved with purpose, cutting through the crowds as if the chaos around her did not exist. People gave her a wide berth, whispering her name, some in fear, others in awe. She was known here, and everyone knew better than to interfere. "We are not here for admiration," she said over her shoulder. "We are here for information. There is a faction in the Outer System's Zeroth Syndicate. They are corrupt, spreading fear and oppression. I intend to stop them. And you, human, will play your part." Kale's heart sank. He had survived danger before, but confronting an entire faction was something entirely different. I don't even know where to start," he admitted. Lasara glanced at him, one eyebrow raised. "You start with what humans do best: observe, think, and improvise. Strength alone does not win battles, strategy does. And you, KL, have a mind worth using." KL swallowed hard, trying to calm the nervous energy thrumming through him. He followed her to a quiet alcove, where Lasara projected a holographic map of the Zeroth Syndicate's operations. Star systems lit up like constellations, each marked with the Syndicate's influence. "They control these sectors with force and fear," Lasara explained. "But every system has weaknesses, patterns, routines, mistakes. That is where humans excel. Machines, soldiers, even aliens can be predictable. Humans can find paths others do not see." Kale studied the map, his curiosity overcoming his fear. He had always been fascinated by systems, logic, and patterns. Now, he was seeing the galaxy itself as a complex puzzle, full of opportunities if one knew where to look. Lasara's sharp eyes caught his expression. "Good. Observe," then suggest, "Your perspective is valuable, even if your body is weaker than mine." The next few days were a test of Kale's ingenuity. Lysara had him infiltrate communications hubs, decipher encrypted messages, and track syndicate movements. He worked tirelessly, amazed at how much humans could contribute to plans that seemed impossible. His solutions were simple, elegant, and effective, exactly what Lysara needed. One evening, Lysara brought Kale to the observation deck. The twin moons of the gas giant hung in the sky, casting pale light over the docking platforms. Kale could see syndicate ships moving in the distance, their patrol patterns carefully calculated. "They will attack at dawn," Lysara said, "but not where they think. Your calculations show a blind spot in their defense grid. That is where we strike." Kale nodded. "It's risky. If they detect us, we could be overwhelmed." "Risk is inevitable," Lysara replied. "What matters is choosing where and when to act. That is how humans survive in a galaxy of monsters." The following morning, Kale and Lysara executed their plan. Using his calculations, they guided a small strike team to bypass the Syndicate's patrols. Lysara's combat skills were unmatched, but Kale's input ensured the team avoided traps, ambushes, and detection. Kale moved with steady hands, coordinating energy diversions, opening locked doors remotely, and redirecting security drones. Each action, though small, had a massive effect on the mission's success. He felt a growing confidence. Humans, he realized, were not weak. They were adaptable. They could think on their feet, improvise, and find solutions others missed. The first confrontation came in the industrial sector of a syndicate-controlled planet. Machines hummed, conveyor belts carried materials, and the hum of energy weapons echoed in the distance. Kale's heart pounded as Lysara and the strike team advanced. The syndicate fighters were strong and numerous, but Lysara's strategy, combined with Kale's guidance, allowed the team to outmaneuver them. Kale directed the team to use the environment to their advantage, triggering alarms to draw enemies into traps and rerouting power to disable weapons. Each move emphasized human ingenuity over brute force. Lysara, for her part, moved like a force of nature. Her strikes were precise, calculated, and terrifyingly effective. Yet, she did not overshadow Kale. Instead, she relied on him, trusting his decisions in areas where she could not intervene. Kale realized that humans could become indispensable, even alongside legends. After hours of tense fighting and careful strategy, the Syndicate forces were forced to retreat. Systems that had been under oppression for decades were now free from Syndicate control. Citizens emerged from hiding, cheering for their unexpected liberators. Kale felt a strange mix of exhaustion and pride. He had survived, helped defeat a powerful enemy, and contributed in ways he had never imagined. Lysara turned to him, her expression unreadable but approving. "You see, Kale," she said, "humans are underestimated. You think small, but you act in ways that can change outcomes. That is why I keep you alive. You are clever, adaptable, dangerous in your own way." Kale smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never known. I never thought humans could make a difference against powers like this. I feel proud." You should be," Lysara replied. "Pride is a tool when paired with skill and strategy. Remember that. There are still more battles ahead." As they left the liberated systems, Kale reflected on the lesson he had learned. Power alone did not guarantee victory. Intelligence, courage, and the ability to think beyond the obvious were what truly mattered. Humans, he realized, had all of these qualities, and more. During the journey back to Virex Station, Kale began to understand the broader picture. Lysara did not seek chaos for its own sake. She acted to balance the scales, targeting corrupt factions and oppressive systems. Her methods were ruthless, but her intent was just. And humans, often underestimated, could tip the scales with cleverness and bravery. Kyle also noticed a change in himself. He was no longer the timid engineer who had accidentally freed Lysara. He was part of a team that could challenge powerful enemies, a human whose mind could outthink even the most organized factions. That night, as the stars stretched endlessly outside the shuttle window, Kyle and Lysara discussed the next steps. The galaxy was full of factions, corruption, and danger. But Kyle now knew that humans had a place in this grand struggle. They were not weak, not powerless. They were adaptable, creative, and capable of changing the course of events. "Tomorrow," Lysara said, her voice calm but commanding, "we will strike at the heart of the Zeroth Syndicate. They believe themselves untouchable. They have not counted on humans working alongside someone like me." Kale nodded. "Then, we'll show them what humans can do." For the first time, Kyle felt a sense of belonging. He was not just surviving, he was contributing. Humans could fight, think, and lead. Even in a galaxy dominated by legends and powerful beings, humans had their own unique strength, the ability to adapt, improvise, and outthink the strongest opponents. The galaxy was dangerous, but Kale was ready. And with Lysara by his side, he felt that nothing, not even the most powerful faction, could underestimate them for long. As they rested aboard the shuttle, Kale stared at the stars, realizing that the real journey was only beginning. Humans had a role to play, and he was determined to prove that even one human could make a difference. Kale Varin had come a long way since the moment he accidentally freed Lysara. He had navigated abandoned stations, faced syndicate ambushes, and discovered the true value of human ingenuity in a galaxy filled with beings far stronger and faster than humans. Now, standing aboard Lysara's sleek starship, he could feel the weight of the final challenge ahead. The Zeroth Syndicate had fortified their fortress planet, a sprawling industrial world of steel cliffs, energy barriers, and endless patrols. It was a place no ordinary human or even ordinary alien could conquer. Lysara stood beside him at the observation deck, her eyes scanning the holographic projection of the planet. "The Syndicate believes they are untouchable. They have not counted on human strategy combined with my skills. Your mind, Kale, will be as important as any weapon." Kale's chest tightened. He had never led in a battle of this scale before, yet he could feel the growth within him, the confidence born from surviving danger, making decisions under pressure, and discovering that humans could think in ways no one expected. He nodded. "I'm ready. I'm ready." Lysara allowed herself a faint smile. The approach to the fortress planet was tense. Massive towers of steel rose from the surface, protected by energy shields and patrol drones. The Syndicate had anticipated attacks, but not a coordinated strike guided by human insight. Kale studied the patrol patterns and shield rotations, his mind racing to find a weak point. "There," he said, pointing at a narrow gap in the energy barrier. "If we divert the sensors here and approach from this angle, we can slip inside undetected. They will expect a frontal assault, not a calculated entry." Lysara's eyes gleamed. "Precisely. You are learning well, human." Using Kale's calculations, Lysara piloted the ship through the narrow gap. The energy shields flickered as their ship passed, almost catching them in a surge of energy, but Kale's quick adjustments redirected the power flows, keeping them safe. Every small action Kale took had a direct impact on the success of the mission. Inside the fortress, the environment was harsh. Cliffs of steel jutted at impossible angles. Conveyor belts carried dangerous materials, and energy barriers shifted constantly. Kale guided Lysara through maintenance tunnels and side passages, each route carefully chosen to avoid detection. The first confrontation came quickly. Syndicate guards spotted movement near a power hub. KL directed the team to trigger a controlled alarm, drawing the guards away from the critical systems. Lasara moved like a shadow, neutralizing threats with precision. KL, working the ship's remote systems and tactical panels, rerouted energy flows to disable defenses. Every step emphasized the human factor. Kale's quick thinking and adaptability allowed the mission to progress where brute force alone could not. Lasara relied on him, trusting his instincts in ways that even the most skilled warriors might not. Hours passed as they advanced deeper into the fortress. The Syndicate had prepared traps, yet Kale's observations anticipated each one. He discovered patterns in the guards' patrols, weaknesses in the automated defenses, and blind spots in the surveillance network. By combining human creativity with Lasara's combat skills, they moved efficiently, always staying one step ahead. Finally, they reached the central command tower. It was massive, filled with control panels, energy conduits, and Syndicate leaders coordinating their forces. Kale studied the layout carefully, and finally, Wither made company. If we disable their communication arrays, we can isolate the leaders and prevent reinforcements. But we need precise timing. Lasara nodded. Do it, human. Show me what humans can accomplish when they act decisively. Kale's hands moved quickly over the panels. He rerouted power, shut down shields temporarily, and disrupted communications. Within moments, the Syndicate forces were isolated and confused. The leaders could not coordinate, and panic spread through the fortress. Lasara struck next. Her combat skills were unparalleled, but she relied on Kale's timing to hit the Syndicate where it hurt most. Guards who had seemed invincible fell one by one, not just to her strength, but to the careful planning Kale had orchestrated. Humans were often underestimated, but here, Kale's intellect was a weapon as sharp as any energy blade. As they reached the central command room, the Syndicate leader confronted them. He was large, heavily armored, and radiated authority. His energy cannon was ready, and he expected victory. You should have stayed away, Lasara, he growled. And you, human? Did you really think you could make a difference? Kale stepped forward, feeling a calm he had never experienced before. He remembered every lesson he had learned. Observe, adapt, and act with intelligence. He activated the control panel, triggering a sequence that rerouted the fortress's energy. Shields flickered, doors opened, and the leader's cannon misfired at the critical moment. Lasara moved instantly, striking with precision. Kale's actions had created the perfect opportunity. The Syndicate leader fell, his plans dismantled not by raw strength alone, but by the combined intelligence and courage of human and legend working together. Kale exhaled, feeling a rush of pride and relief. He had survived, contributed, and proven the truth Lasara had always known. Humans were more than ordinary. They were clever, adaptable, and capable of changing the galaxy when they acted decisively. With the fortress secured, Lasara turned to Kale. You see, human, she said softly, power alone is not enough. Strategy, timing, and understanding your opponent are what create true victory. You have learned well. Kale smiled. I never imagined humans could make such a difference. I feel proud, not just of surviving, but of helping. We actually did it. Lasara's expression softened, a rare gesture of acknowledgement. And that, KL, is why I trusted you. You see possibilities others ignore. You act where others hesitate. That is the strength of your kind. As they left the fortress planet behind, Kale reflected on the journey. He had begun as a timid engineer, thrust into danger by accident. He had faced fear, learned to trust his mind, and discovered that humans, though physically weaker than many species, could match strength with creativity, courage, and ingenuity. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of legends, But Kale understood now that humans had their own kind of power. They could survive, adapt, and even lead in ways others would never expect. Back aboard Lysara's starship, as stars stretched endlessly in the viewport, Kale felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had grown, learned, and proved the potential of his species. Lysara watched him quietly, her usual intensity softened by recognition. "You have done well, Kale," she said. "But remember, this is only one victory. The galaxy will test you again. But now, you know the truth. Humans are not to be underestimated. Your mind, courage, and adaptability can shift outcomes, even in the face of overwhelming power." Kale nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. He had learned that bravery alone was not enough, nor was strength. But humans, through intelligence, quick thinking, and collaboration, could overcome challenges others deemed impossible. For Kale, the accidental release of Lysara had transformed his life. He had gone from a simple engineer to a key player in a galaxy where strength, courage, and intelligence determined survival. Humans, he realized, could hold their own among the stars, not through raw power, but through the unmatched ability to adapt and innovate. As they traveled through the star-strewn void, Kale gazed at the endless expanse of space. He knew the galaxy was dangerous, and enemies would rise again, but he was no longer just a human engineer. He was a human capable of change, courage, and strategy. He had proven it to himself and to the galaxy. Lysara turned to him, her gaze sharp but approving. "The galaxy underestimates humans," she said, "and that is your advantage. Do not forget it, Kale. There is more to come. And when it does, humans will be ready." Kale smiled, a quiet determination shining in his eyes. "I won't forget. And when the next challenge comes, we'll be ready." For the first time, he felt truly confident. He had survived danger, contributed to a victory thought impossible, and discovered the hidden potential of humans in a galaxy dominated by legends. The journey had transformed him. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, adaptable, and strong in ways others could not imagine. And together with Lysara, he knew they could face any challenge the galaxy threw at them. The stars stretched endlessly outside. But Kale no longer felt small. Humans, he realized, could rise to any challenge. And he, Kale Varen, had proven it.